Hey everybody, how is everybody doing today? We got another episode in the house. I'm excited about this episode. I've been trying to get this guy on. I know he's been in it like going cross country here, so I finally got him in studio. Miguel de la Roca.
What's up, guys?
I said that right?
Everybody. Yes, sir.
I'm in the real estate and the real estate of mine.
All right, cool, man. Anyway, yeah, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming, guys. He's I guess you can call yourself a credit entrepreneur, real estate entrepreneur, and he's kind of getting into a lot of stuff. So we're going to kind of do a deep dive on Miggle today and let you guys know kind of what he's up to, and hopefully he can, drop some tidbits to help everybody out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks
for having me on the show. Like, I know you and I were going back on the Instagram DMs for a couple months, and I was like, yeah, I want to be here in the summer. Like, let's make it happen. Because normally I do these like over Zoom. So, like, it's really nice to actually be in a studio. So, thanks for having me, man.
Oh, no, of course. I like the studio feel better, actually.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't know, because I'm on YouTube a lot. So I like watching the in-studio ones. Maybe we'll go to Zoom eventually. But,
yeah.
They're just, I don't know, I feel like they're more boring. You don't get, like, people's, like, true reactions on them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
it feels literally like like a Stephen Colbert, like, talk show host, like, type of thing. So it's perfect.
Yeah, man. I guess, we'll start. Guys, we're just going to talk a little bit about, you, your background, where you come from, and how you got into what you got into, and hopefully, we can kind of do a deep dive on each subject a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so, tell us a little bit about you. I know we talked a little bit. Tell the audience, I guess, a little bit about you, where you come from.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's your boy Miguel. Nice to meet everybody. But originally, I grew up in Bakersfield, California. Anybody outside of California who doesn't know where Bakersfield is, it's known as the armpit of California. Very hot, nothing but farmland, kind of smells like poop. So, growing up there, and anyone who's watching this from Bakersfield will totally know what I'm talking about. But growing up there, like, most people, like 80% of people don't get it out of there. It's like a black hole, So the small breed of people who actually, like, go to college or just move out is very small. Most people end up staying there, and they just stay there for the rest of their life. So I grew up there, had a great time, but I was like, dude, I want to go to college, go accomplish something. I know if I stay here, I'm not going to get anything done.
Nope. Yeah, for sure. I feel you.
I'm just going to be a little shithead, honestly. Like, in high school, I used to get in a lot of trouble, but, like, going off to college and just kind of growing up really taught me a lot of lessons. Went to UC Santa Cruz and graduated with business. Did a little bit of technology there, but I'm going to be totally honest, like, I had a lot of fun in college, but I learned more of this stuff after college. My first job out of college, I actually used to organize, like, music festivals for college students. So that was super fun. I had a little too much fun, if I'm going to be totally real.
No, you're good.
Actually, just that kind of, like, party lifestyle, being around it all the time. I actually ended up getting fired from it because...
From your party job? Or what was it?
Yeah, we used to, like, organize, like, thousands of college students out to, like, Mexico for spring break. So, like, Cabo, Rosarito, Puerto Vallarta. Like, I would MC it, DJ. It was super fun. But after working with them for a while, I just wasn't mature enough to handle that lifestyle. Got fired, and this is a really funny story. Is they had all the new hires for that company move out to Vegas for the summer, and they got us all Airbnbs for the summer. We were doing training, and, like, my house was like a big mansion, so we were like, "Yo, let's have a little, like, company, like, grill party." Brought out some DJ stuff. Long story short, it's funny, I literally just saw the video this week, but there's a video of me on the news throwing, like, a couch in the pool because I was just being an idiot. This was back way when I used to just be a degenerate.
When Airbnb kind of first started, too. And
it was illegal back then when it first started.
The movie that came out that was about the Airbnb parties.
I was probably on there.
Yeah. You remind me of that. That story reminds me of that movie.
Yeah, so I actually, like, single-handedly helped legalize Airbnb in Vegas, because after that they're like, yo, if we don't legalize it here and have some control on it, this is going to happen more often. So for me, that was, like, very rock bottom, at that point, fired from my dream job. But looking back at it now, it got me to where I'm at now. I started learning about funding because I was telling you, at the time, after losing that job, I was just kind of working this crappy 9 to 5 job. Like I just I hated it. I was selling like tech software and stuff, and I was like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. You know, it doesn't excite me. So I started learning about like real estate, and like the first problem I had was, all right, I don't have any money, but like there's all these different opportunities that I could take advantage of. I got introduced to Airbnb, and again, same problem, didn't have the cash. I knew I wanted to invest in real estate, start my own business. And that's when I started hearing about like, oh, what's this 0% interest business credit funding thing? Like, and in my head, I was like, this sounds like a scam. Why would anyone give anything at 0%? Because like, how do the banks make money? And you know how ads are too. Like on Instagram, if you say like credit card by your phone, enough times you're just going to start getting pounded.
Oh, your phone's going to get blown up. Yeah. I get it.
Exactly. So that's what kind of got me started. I just started seeing ads, went down the rabbit hole on it, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. Banks are giving 0% interest business credit cards for a year, you know, and then it comes back to a normal APR. And the whole idea of it is they want to win your business because there's so many banks, but also if you don't pay it off within a year, you know, they're just going to charge interest. So it's like a win-win for them. And then I started learning of all these different credit card hacks. Like, oh, you could refinance the card, the 0% onto another 0% card if the 0% ends. So like now I'm like, oh, you could get 0% for 2, 3, 4, 5 years and really save your butt. And I was just like, wow. Like,
So let's go back a little bit and let's start kind of getting into it, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, the credit funding. Number one, where did you learn how to do credit funding?
Yeah.
Or credit funding, or learning how to, because when you apply to these credit card companies, there's a specific I'm aware of that you need to do there's a specific strategy. You do this card, then this card, and like how did you learn all that? And the FICOs, because some of them pull experience, some of them don't. How did you learn all that stuff?
Yeah, like you said, there's definitely a strategy for it. I didn't get, like I said, I just started getting hit with all these ads. So the way I got into it was months of just getting hit by ads, and I was like, all right, screw it. I'm going to spend a couple grand to learn this. It was my first course I ever invested in it, because I always thought like online courses was a scam, and I was just like, I'm in such a painful place in my life where I'm like, dude, I'll invest into anything if it means I can potentially get out of like my current situation. So I was just like, dude, what the hell? Let's invest a couple grand to it. I'm gonna be totally honest, that course was very like high level elementary stuff, but since I was so new to it, I was like, okay, I got some value from it. Invested in this guy, invested in another guy, and it wasn't until the third person I got into. I told him, he's my buddy Jack McCall. He's the one who got me into it, and I told him, I was like, look, I've already spent like, you know, $5,000-$10,000 on these courses. Like, what makes yours different? I'm not really looking to invest. And he told me about his program, credit stacking. Told me, he's like, here's how it's different. I was like, okay, you're my friend. I'm gonna trust you. Got into it. Learned so much out of that, you know, with the strategies. Like I said, there's so many creative things you could do with it. So as far as what the process looks like, I learned from him, started studying my own and investing in other programs. So I was taking like bits and pieces from everything that I learned, and that's how I created my own program now. But basically, as far as getting the business credit, the strategy looks like this. Like, let's say you just turned 18, right? Never had a credit card. As far as like the sequence, like there's two things that the banks care about most, right? They just want to know, hey, is Andrew a trustworthy borrower? And if we're getting business credit, does his business look attractive enough to lend to? So to answer the first question, what they're looking at is credit score and credit profile. And let's just say you just turned 18, you know, the credit card sequence you want at least 3 to 5 personal credit cards under your belt. Because if you're going to the banks asking for $50K and you only have one credit card at $5K, like, you don't look like the most trustworthy borrower, right?
You've never done this before. You never even got close.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to build yourself up first. So like, I recommend getting a secured card if you've never had any credit. That'll start helping build things up. I recommend getting a card with Chase. just because they're very, very generous when it comes to giving business credit.
Yeah.
And then Amex, they're an awesome bank as well. So you already have your minimum 3 right there. And then the other 2, that could be any sort of travel card that you want. But ideally, as far as looking like a trustworthy borrower, we're looking for at least 3 to 5 personal credit cards with an average of $10K per card, because they look at something called comparable credit limits to see, if they can trust you with it, right? You don't want any negatives, no late payments, collections, bankruptcies, or anything. Something a lot of people don't know, though, is, if you've screwed up in the past, missed a payment, usually those negatives, they stay on your file for like 7 years, right? But there's, and this is completely legal too, it's called credit repair, where you're legally allowed to dispute anything off your credit profile.
Right.
And it's on the lender, it's their responsibility to prove you wrong, because basically it's like, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
And a lot of these lenders, if they have like tens, hundreds of thousands of clients, so like legally they have to prove you wrong within 30 days and get back to you. And if they can't, then legally they have to, you have more leverage. So there are ways to get out of those negative items, or even like paying off debt. Like I literally checked on a client yesterday. She went from like a 500 to 757 credit score just in a couple months, removed a bunch of her collection. She didn't have to pay like $10,000, $15,000 in debt just through the credit repair process.
You did that?
Yeah, me and my team. So we help out with the credit repair because, again, being a trustworthy borrower, it's all about optimized credit profile and score. And some of these people I work with, they want the business credit, but they're like, dude, I'm not going to wait 7 years for these negative items to fall off. So I'm like, okay, let's get you through the credit repair process. We'll start the dispute stuff. It does take a couple months.
At least.
At least, so you got to be patient with it, but it does come off, and it's really awesome. Some debts, you don't have to pay it back. Anything above, like, if it's like one lender over 10K, then they might still try to go after you, but at least your credit's clean. But yeah, you just want a clean credit profile, no maxed out cards. And generally, that's going to make you look like a trustworthy borrower. But
a couple questions after. Sorry.
Yeah, please go for it. I'm just rambling.
Yeah,
on,
you
so
are.
Feel free to
it's
stop
okay.
me.
It's okay. No, so, well, number one, have you heard of? So Chase is offering. I saw that they're offering like $150,000 business credit line.
Okay.
Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't looked
at 0% too.
Really?
I mean, I'm seeing ads because you were talking about like a bunch of ads, and
actually, I know what you're talking about.
The ad that you're getting, I wanted to look into that. Well, anyway, if you don't know a lot about that, I mean, that's all right. We can move on.
No. So I know what you're talking about. So one of Chase's rules. So this is really good sauce for anybody looking into Chase. Is Chase Bank is their maximum exposure to giving out debt. So let me rewind a little bit. So the 150K that you're talking about. With the strategy I teach people is you're able to get approved with what's called a no doc check approval, which basically means as long as you're showing the bank you're a trustworthy borrower, your business is attractive enough to lend to, you have the right connections, you know what to say, what to put on the applications, they're going to do what's called a no doc check, which means they don't ask for bank statements or tax documents. So what that means for the common person is even if your LLC is new, even if your personal income's low, even if your business revenue, you don't have any, you can still get approved. So the reason why I bring that up is Chase's maximum willingness for exposure is 150K with no doc check.
So you think maybe that's what they're talking about?
That's
what the ad is talking about.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about is like the most they're willing to give out in debt on the business side, whether it's the 0% business credit or business lines of credit, is 150K without having to provide any proof of documentation.
Okay.
And something a lot of people don't know, this is an awesome like Chase hack, is like if you have multiple LLCs with Chase. So like this is something I personally did. So let's just say, we get 250K cards with Chase on LLC A.
Yeah.
It's 0% for a year. Then you use it, you invest it in something. Within the year, you pay it back and you keep the profits. You can apply for those same cards again using the second LLC. And something cool that Chase does is they let you transfer the limits from the first LLC over to the second LLC. But the cool thing is the second LLC already has almost like double the credit as the first one because they got their own limit and you're adding this limit on there, and it's 0% again for a whole nother year.
Oh, okay. So actually kind of talking about that, I got a question. So I have a business credit card that I have 0% on a business credit card. Actually, I have the Business Inc. with Chase.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
cool.
I have the 12 months, but I'm only paying the minimum right now because
of course the 1%. There you go.
Because it's 0%. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's 0% interest for 12 months. I'm obviously building up a fat bill because I'm using it, but I'm not making really only the minimum payments. Mm-hmm. So, from your experience, all the credit stuff that you do, what card do you recommend? Because I'd love to transfer the balance. I know I'm going to pay some origination fee basically, mm-hmm. but what card would you recommend? I do have other LLCs, mm-hmm. And I have like a great profile. I have,
mm-hmm. Great.
I have a really high end profile basically.
Gotcha. So just to make sure I understand your question is like, if you weren't able to pay it off within the year, like where could I transfer that?
Yeah, where could I do a balance transfer to extend my zero interest? I know I'm going to pay probably 3%.
Yeah. And that's something a lot of people don't know. Like anytime you use a credit card anywhere, they charge 2 to 3%. Usually it's on the vendor that pays it. But yeah, like, and that kind of brings it up to what I was talking about earlier is like extending 0% terms.
Yeah.
Because like the longer you have 0%, the less risk you have as an investor, right? Because you have more opportunity, more time to pay it off, and
So I have, for example, the Business Inc. card I have on my main corporation, but I have other LLCs and mm-hmm. I have them with Chase. Mm-hmm. So my thing was, or my idea when you were talking was to open up another
card with Chase,
but I need a good balance transfer card.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because like you could do the balance transfer route, but typically you don't want to, like, let's say you owe like $40K on Chase with the first LLC. Uh-huh. You don't want to open up another Chase card and try to transfer it from there, just because you typically want to transfer it to another bank because Chase will be like, oh, this guy's
moving money around.
Yeah, he's just moving money around. He's just not paying us back. So like. The idea is like if you owe, let's say, $40K on Chase, okay, let's go open up a $40K card with Amex and then do the balance transfer or U.S. Bank. And I mean the top banks really are Chase, Amex, Wells Fargo, Bank of America.
Yeah, I saw Wells had one for like 18 months.
Yeah,
because I was just looking.
Wells is cool. The only thing with that is you need to have like a personal checking account before applying.
I think I do have one.
But yeah, that's what my recommendation is. Get into another bank that isn't Chase, obviously, and transfer it over. But let's say you owe 40 on the Chase card, mm-hmm. and Amex only gives you 20K, then get another 20K or 25K at U.S. Bank and then transfer it. Another thing that if the card is only 0% on purchases, not 0% on balance transfers, what you could do is there are ways of pulling the cash from the cards without paying that cash advance fee? Because usually it's like 25-30%. So like you're screwed off the bat on that. But there are ways where you only need to pay like 3 to 5, 6%, which it's a little hit, but like it's totally worth it versus paying 25% interest once the 0% ends, right?
Yeah, I use a program called Melio.
Okay, gotcha.
Melio is an online platform where you can pretty much transfer payments to people and where you can use a credit card for the cash advances and all that kind of stuff. So it's just,
nice, but they aren't charging like the actual cash advance fee.
No, because they're using it as a purchase, like you said. That's just what reminded me of it. So that's something that I've used. But anyway, just to go back to something we were talking about like collections and debts and stuff like that, and stuff to pay off and not to pay off. So like for the people out there, is there any like rule that you can give them about, in other words, collections or debts that they should pay off, and the ones that they should not pay off?
Yeah.
Or negotiate with or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say the first rule is anytime you get some sort of late payment or collection or charge off, is always reach out to the lender and talk to them and ask for, this is something I can send you guys, or you could just like ask ChatGPT to make it, but like you'd ask for something called like a goodwill letter. And basically with a goodwill letter is you're just asking for forgiveness. It's just like, hey, I fucked up. I'm sorry. Yeah. But I promise to pay you guys back always ask for that first before don't pay it right off the bat until you at least try the goodwill letter, because you're going to basically be like, hey, if I pay this off, will you guys like remove it off my profile? Because like something, for example, with collections, right, they stay on your file for 7 years. Mm-hmm. Even if you pay back that collection, it's going to say that it's still going to show up as late, but it shows up that it's paid off. But like lenders are still going to see that, and they're going to be like, well, you're still not getting approved. But if you negotiate with them and be like, hey, I'll pay it off in full, I might need some sort of payment plan, but once I get it paid off, and this is an important thing, is get it in writing. Don't just like talk to them on the phone. Right. Get it in an email or letter saying like, hey, if I pay this off, you guys promise to remove it. Because that, like, again, like, why would I pay something off and still get penalized for it, right?
Yeah, no, I like that point, because that's something actually that I've actually made videos about. So yeah. I appreciate that point. And guys, I just, listen to Miggle's point, and the point was just to kind of essentially piggyback or reiterate it. Do not pay off a collection unless they're going to delete it off your credit, because it still affects your credit score. Your credit score is still going to suck, basically.
Yeah.
Until that thing gets deleted. So, yeah, exactly. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm actually, my credit's still good, but this is something a little personal. Is like, I took out $25K with a bank to use it on a fix and flip. And I could have sworn I had the minimum payment set up on it. Yeah. And they never told me, like, I literally found out a year later that it wasn't on there. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is going to collections or whatever. And I was like, why did you guys never tell me? Like, I thought this was coming out of my bank account this whole time, and you guys are just telling me a year later. And right now, like, my game plan for that is I'm just like, hey, I'm not paying you guys the $25K unless I get this in writing, Otherwise, I'm just going to let it...
They're going to delete it off your...
Yeah, they're going to delete it if I pay it off. Because, like, the other option I'm thinking about, and this might be... I'll keep you guys updated on how this goes, but, like, might just let it go to collections and then just dispute it. But $25K is a significant amount. They might still try to come after me, but at least it's off my credit report. And, yeah, I don't know. Well, it's up in the air. I could pay it, but I just don't want to... I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't be getting hit because they're trying to charge me $29K on it for all the interest rates. Yeah. But I'm like, dude, I'm not going to pay $1 more than $25. Like, you guys didn't even tell me that the minimum payment wasn't on. Like, even though like I called you guys to set it up. Like, I guess it was just a miscommunication on both of us. But like, I'm like, I have no problem paying my debt, but like, I almost might. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So before we get into all the Airbnb and like the real estate stuff, is this what takes up the majority of your time right now? The credit?
So before this, I was literally doing, I had a team too, but I'd still be involved in it. But I was doing Airbnb. I was working on fix and flips. And at the time I was telling you my buddy Jack McCall, who owns Credit Stacking, I was the number one salesperson at that company for the last 2 years. So I helped him build that company up from like 25 people to 2,500. And I crushed it there so much because I was just like, all right, I learned from you and some other people, and I've actually used it. So when I'm talking to people on the phone, like, yo, this is the gameplay. Right. This is how you could use it in your business. I used it for real estate. So I was very passionate about it, and that's why I crushed so hard. And also I was like, on top of just selling it, I would straight up tell people, yo, like, I'll straight up get you your first cards for you if you sign up today. Like let's make this deal happen. But I was working with him for 2 years, and then on top of that, so I was building up my own coaching program, doing something similar but more niche down to real estate investors, just because that's what I was doing, right? So I was working 4 things at a time. And in March, I sold off the Airbnbs, and then fix and flips. I only have one more that I'm working on. And then I left Credit Stacking back in towards the end of March.
This year?
Yeah, this year. So this year has been a big year, as far as major moves.
Changes,
Yeah, because I was just like, dude, I feel like so spread out. Like, I was literally working minimum 10, 12 hours every day, like working on the weekends too, but like...
It's tough, man. It's hard to concentrate. I know, trust. I've been there.
It made it a little easier being in Indianapolis because there's not much to do there. So I will say... living out there, I don't think I would have started this coaching program if I hadn't been out there, and it helped me like focus. I wasn't with all my friends from California, not going out drinking every weekend. So it was kind of nice being just getting laser focused.
Man, chill. It can't get wasted every night anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's get back. Well, I know you just said you sold your Airbnbs, so that was kind of a spoiler. But let's talk about a lot of people. There's a lot of, I know you're trying to get into coaching, or you're in the coaching, I should say. But there's a lot of coaches out there for Airbnb, and I don't know. I do feel like it's dying out a little bit. The hype about it.
The hype was real in like 2020 to 2022.
I did it. So I did the arbitrage business for a little bit. So I'm pretty familiar with it. But for those who aren't familiar with it, I mean, let's just go into your story, I guess. What did you do in Airbnb exactly? What were you, a host? Did you own properties? So on and so forth.
Yeah. So I started off with Airbnb arbitrage. So kind of with that, like, at the time, like I took a dip at e-commerce. It didn't really work out too well. So then I was looking towards the next thing, and my buddy from college, he and I used to party all the time, and he was crushing it with Airbnb arbitrage. So I was just like, dude, you're just as much of an idiot as I am. So if you can do it, I can do it. So he pointed me in the right direction, the right resources. He would help me out when I'd need it. I forgot it was like 5 or 10K into a coaching program into that. And of course I used 0% business credit because I was like, all right, this is a great opportunity. Let's get into it. And then I started learning about the arbitrage game. Hardest thing with that is just staying, like, a lot of it's sales, right? Being consistent, because you're calling renters. A lot of them are going to tell you to, this screw off, or this isn't it. Yeah. But I just stay persistent for like 2 months, like hitting the phones every day. Found a guy, ended up getting like 3 units from him. From there, I was very confident what I was doing. Got 2 units from another lady, and then just kept making dials. So at a certain point, I had like 7 different Airbnbs.
Were you making money? That's the whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I was making anywhere, and this is a thing too with like arbitrage, I was making money, but I'm going to tell you guys why I left it. But like I was making anywhere between like $250 to like $1,000 on a good month per unit, which was pretty solid.
But what kind of units are these?
These are, so I had like a 3-bed, 2-bath house. And then, what was it? 3-bed, 2-bath. And then the guy that I first started with, I had 3 out of the 4 units he had, because he had a 4-plex. Those were all 2-bed, 1-bath. And then the rest were a 2-bed, 1-bath.
Did you concentrate on one area?
Yeah, southwest of Bakersfield, just because it was a nicer area. I had a couple near downtown.
Okay, southwest. Yeah. That's where the college is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it was cool, too, because this kind of fell on my lap. I was like, okay, short-term rentals. But, like, literally the first person that booked my place was, like, a travel nurse. Like, I'm staying for 5 months. I was just like, are you freaking serious?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, dude, this is easy as hell.
Yeah.
I was like, let me go get some more business credit and get into the next deal. And that's exactly what I did.
Well, so the business credit helped you with business credit, you can buy the furniture, you can buy obviously all the decorations, things like that. But how did you pay for
the rent?
How did you pay for payment? Exactly?
Yeah.
How'd you pay for the rent? How'd you pay for the deposit to get in? If you for somebody who has no money.
Yeah. So again, with the business credit, like I didn't do the cash advance thing. I liquidated the cash on the cards. I paid like maybe 5%, but I mean like. This is what I tell people too, is like, dude, if your business isn't making more than 5% return, dude, you're not in the right business. So I was like totally okay with taking that hit, and it was great. Like I remember that time like so vividly, because that was the first business I ever had that was actually like successful. Because I was like, I've tried things, lost money, and I'm like, all right, on to the next thing. But this is the first time I was just like, holy shit, dude, this is freaking working. Like, I was just like, dude, I just need more money.
I'm making money.
Yeah, I was just like, holy crap, like, it's not negative,
Yeah.
So it was really awesome. I was doing that for like 3 years, but the reason why I left was, one, I moved to Indianapolis to do fix and flips, and I had a property manager, cleaner, maintenance guy, and I didn't have to touch the business too much, but then sometimes I would have it to where like, oh, this is actually a very funny Airbnb nightmare story, but this is, I was like in Mexico at the time because I was living in Mexico, but.
Oh, wow, you got some stories.
Yeah.
Living in Mexico too. All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah, my bad.
No, you're good. But literally I had a guess, they were probably on some drugs or something, but my cleaner goes over there to clean it up, and she's like, what's that smell? And literally, because the guests, they wanted to stay longer. They're like, no, like, we already have a guest coming in tomorrow. Like, you guys can't stay. And also, I just didn't want them to be there anymore because I thought they were sus. And we denied it. And they left all their shit. And we had our cleaner clean it out. And they literally took a shit under the bed. Like, they moved the bed, took a shit there. And I was just like, dude, what the hell, man? So, but like, luckily for me, I haven't had that many like horror stories with Airbnb, but like just the accumulation of like little inconveniences.
That's not easy to do either.
Not at all.
Pop and squat under the. So they had to move the mattress.
They had to move the mattress.
Pop a squat.
And then put it back. And then put it back. I was like, that was not an accident. And this isn't like a dog shit or anything. This is human feces. So.
And you didn't have to clean it up.
I didn't have to clean it up, but I was just like, damn, like, I'm so sorry. Like.
Yeah. Got to give her extra tip for that.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of sucked for her, but.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah, but I kind of learned too doing the arbitrage stuff. I'm like, this is cool. I'm getting cash flow, but I'm like, dude, I don't get to write any of this off on my taxes. I'm not getting appreciation. I'm not building equity. And that's kind of where...
it's cash flow, though. It's cash flow.
Yeah, it's cash flow.
But my thing about the arbitrage business and the way that you described it is technically it's an infinite return, right? Mm-hmm. So the only thing that you're using is your time.
Yes.
The money's free, and it's, like I said, it's just your time. So the cash-on-cash return, it's infinite. You're making... You know, like I said, infinite return. That's what I love about it. But you're right. It's you don't actually own the real estate. So
and that's what I want to, because like the other thing with Airbnb arbitrage is like you really need to have a cool landlord. Because one of the deals I had, she like I told her exactly what we were doing, and then her neighbors started tripping. They're like, "Oh, you can't do this anymore." I was like, "What?"
Why would
like,
they
we signed a contract.
Why?
Yeah, no, they were just tripping because they're like, "Oh, we don't like how there's like random people coming here," and I was like, "Well, I don't care what you like."
It's a single family home.
Yeah, or it was a fourplex. It was a fourplex, and I had two of the units in that fourplex, and the other two people didn't like strangers coming in, but like. I'm like, sorry, well, I already put down a
they're just
deposit.
Renting, though, the other two people, so it's not... Unfortunately, it's not up to you, so...
Exactly, but the landlord was just, like, giving me shit, just saying, like, you know, they're complaining, and I was just like, well, I don't care. Like, we signed a contract, and long story short, I should have, like, stuck more with my guns and just be like, look, you can say whatever you want, but we have a contract for a year. I'll move out in a year, but, like, I ended up losing a lot of cash on that deal just because... Spent a bunch, like just getting everything set up. Didn't get, and she charged me like, what was it? The deposit was 2 times the rent too, so that just like added up, and I was just like, this is such a nightmare.
She kept the deposit?
Yeah, she did, and I tried to take her to court too, and serve her, but like turns out she's been served like 12 times in Bakersfield, so she's like actually a very scummy, like sketchy landlord. Like she had a bunch of like service reports or whatever it's called like out for her because. Apparently, she's had a lot of like run-ins.
So what do you mean they can't find her? Or?
Yeah, we just couldn't find her, and I showed up to court, and she wasn't there. And they're like,
when you signed the contract originally, you never met this lady?
I met her in person.
Yeah.
But at the rentals, and she has a bunch of units that she has her name like, oh, I live here, 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 and the person I paid to serve her, like, went to every property, just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I would have went after this lady. Not after her, but I would have stayed in the units. And sorry, we have a contract. Good luck, you know. Kick rocks, basically. Like, you don't have a choice. Mm-hmm. Or you pay me because what a lot of people doing now are I would have asked her for relocation fees technically, so I could relocate my tenants, quote unquote, even though they're not real tenants, but still.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I felt like you were a nice guy.
I wish I should have done that. Yeah. At the time, I was
let
like,
her off early.
Yeah, I was just very scared. I was like, oh crap, did I do something wrong? Like blah blah blah. Like all these people are yelling at me, and I'm like, no, like. We signed a contract. I gave you a ton of money, dude. Like I ended up just eating the cost, and I was like, whatever. It's an expensive lesson, and I feel like that's like, if there's one thing about me, somebody told this about me. They're like, what I appreciate about you is just like you're very motivated, but also you're not afraid to fail. Like you know, and I feel like a lot of people when getting into real estate business, whatever it is, the thing that stops people is just like fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and just like the insecurity of failing and being ashamed by it. But
100%.
Like I fail all like I just got a collection on my report and I'm like the credit expert and like hey this shit happens guys like you know you make mistakes but like you figure out like ways out of it and that was just a perfect example
Random,
of that.
yeah.
It was just, I should have done what you did. It was just like kick rocks. Like, we have a contract. Like, it is what it is. If you want me out, pay me. Which is what I should have done. But it is what it is.
Was that your last Airbnb?
No, I still kept getting Airbnbs after that, which was cool because like I didn't let that stop me because like during that time I felt so insecure. I was just like, damn, I'm such a fraud. Like my other 2-3 Airbnbs are doing good, but now I'm just like, I just took like a bad like fat turn downwards. Like is this really gonna work? I had so much like insecurity and doubt in what I was doing, and I was like, dude, no.
No, I would have told this lady, yeah, have a nice day.
Yeah, have a nice day.
Call the cops.
Yeah, exactly. But I still kept like getting more Airbnbs because I was like, dude, like I'm not gonna let this one thing like stop me. Like this is my first successful business, dude. Let's freaking get after it.
The only thing that could screw it up is when you do have new like guests for Airbnb. And then the other tenants that are in the units pretty much start moaning and complaining.
Exactly.
Then you start getting bad reviews. Then you don't get booked. Then you so
that
can roll too.
That was kind of like the main thing. My friend did tell me to tell her to like kick rocks, whatever. But that was what was happening. I was just like, oh man, like, and with Airbnb, reviews are everything, dude. Like one star, you could have like 100 5-star reviews, one star, like boom. Instantly no longer Superhost, No
longer Superhost. You don't get as many views. You got to lower the price. Yeah, I know. The reviews really suck.
So it really, and it sucks because like Airbnb like is so on the consumer side, which is good, but like, I feel like it's definitely not balanced, Like there's some pretty shitty guests out there, and there's plenty of like really great hosts out there. Yeah. And that's kind of what was happening was I was just like, dude, like this is so stressful. Every time I have a guest, like, are they gonna fight each other like in the yard or something? So I was just like, dude, let's just get out of here. I'll just take the financial hit and move forward and
I mean, before we get into the story about how you kind of left Airbnb or why you left Airbnb, like how many hours were you putting in? And because one thing I noticed when we were doing Airbnb is that there's software that you could use dynamic pricing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wasn't using the software, so I was basically...
so you're leaving some cash on the table then.
Yeah, and we had like 12... or I'm sorry, no, we did have the software. Eventually, I didn't have the software in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I got the software, and we kept having basically to lower the price, though, because it wasn't getting booked. We had it, but the problem is we really had our Airbnbs in the beginning of COVID. Pretty much in the summer of 2020 is when I had the most of them, and we got absolutely drowned. But it took a lot of time. It does,
yeah. Definitely.
So if you could just share with the audience, like for example, like people think because. I do see these posts on Instagram where like, watch this couple these couples made millions of dollars. Like these people,
and they only spend 2 minutes a day.
Yeah.
So total bullshit.
So like, how many hours how many Airbnbs did you have at your peak, and at your peak, how many hours were you spending?
Yeah. So I mean, at least starting off, like it was a hustle for sure. Like just the calling, setting everything up, learning the softwares. Like anybody thinking about Airbnb, like. I know we're kind of like talking down on it, but I think it's a great opportunity, and especially arbitrage. Like if I hadn't gone in there, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. So I love it. But starting off, like nothing's ever really passive. You gotta bust your ass, dude. Like I'm sure even with your mortgage business, like I'm sure it's a lot less hands on since you have a team. But like that's not how it was at first, right? So like at first I was putting in like 8, 10, 12 hours into it. Just at least getting it started. But then after that, I was like, I'm sure as hell not cleaning it. So that's like the biggest thing is the cleaner, because they're going to be the ones cleaning it, letting you know if anything's broken, and they're going to be the ones picking up like any restocking inventory. So like that's already a majority.
What about your customer service? Who was doing that?
That was me. Yeah, so a lot of it, for the most part though, if you have like the softwares and the automated messages.
Takes care of most of it.
Yeah. If you're just giving them all the information, like upfront, Wi-Fi, passcode, like most guests don't want to talk to you anyways. So it's just like, it was like pretty easy with customer support. But as far as me, for my team, it was me just kind of like the oversight, the cleaner, that's number one, like pay them well, get a really reliable cleaner. Cause I tested out some cleaners just trying to save a couple bucks on it. And,
You don't want complaints about cleaning.
Yeah.
Especially right after COVID, too.
Exactly. So I had a couple of those, and I'd be like, hey, we're so sorry, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm going to talk to my cleaner. Like, something I would tell them was like, I'm firing my cleaner right now, just to like, so they wouldn't be like so upset, even though I wouldn't, but like, just to like let them know that like we're taking it seriously. But I would have to be like, hey, we'll give you like a free night, which is like, dude, I should have just like paid my cleaner more from the beginning. So it's a cleaner, maintenance guy. They rarely come out because like most people aren't like breaking stuff, especially if you're like a travel nurse or like a construction worker was usually the two type of clientele I'd work with. And then the last one is like the property manager. That was really cool because that really let me take a back seat and not really have to do much unless there was like complaints. Like generally she could handle it, but like if we had to make any like reparations or something with them, that obviously had to come to me. But those would kind of be stressful because I'm like, God damn it, I got to work with this, you know?
Yeah.
So, but other than that, like timing wasn't too bad once you had the team in place. I know my buddy Ian Wyman, he's the one who got me into it. He's probably got at least like 25, like that and he's doing arbitrage. Got a couple he owns and then a couple that he manages. But I helped him go from like 3 units making like $12K a month, got him $75K between 2 cards, and he was just like, boom, 12 units, $50K a month. So like the business, once you like learn the financial vehicle, and then you have like the funding, the gasoline to like pump the crap out of it.
Right.
Like, dude, like it's exponential. You know,
that sounds
you
great.
You have the money printer at that point. You know.
Yeah. Again, before we get into real estate now, the final story, the Airbnb story, man. How did you get out of Airbnb? Why did you get out of Airbnb?
Yeah. So, as far as the why, really. One was just because, again, I was working I had like 4 different things I was working on. Mm-hmm. And I really like the coaching space too. I feel like it's a lot more lucrative, but I also just love the idea of being able to build like a brand. I love seeing myself talk. So it felt like perfect, but like the fulfillment I get from that was cooler than just doing Airbnb. Like Airbnb is cool, like you're giving people a great time, but like
it's hands off. It's just a business where you just kind of sit there.
But versus like when you're coaching somebody and teaching them like something they've never even heard of, they're like, dude, holy crap, I did what Miguel said. We just got 100K. Now I'm getting my first fix and flip. Like that was very fulfilling for me. So just kind of a change in purpose. But again, like just the financially part was just, I want to own these things, you know, like I don't want to have to worry about a landlord switching up with me later on. I want to be that guy. And I just want appreciating assets, you know. I want something that I'll be able to pass down to my kids and, you know, just be able to collect rent as well, whether that's through Airbnb or just like a long-term renter, mm-hmm. you know. So that's kind of why I got out of it. And as far as how I got out of it, it's funny. I had some students in my program. They were wanting to get into Airbnb. I taught them the funding aspect. I taught them the Airbnb stuff, and I actually like worked with them one-on-one. I was like, hey, let me know which markets you want to work with. Okay, this one's bad. This one's good. And I was just gonna let the Airbnb rentals go and just back to the landlord. And I was like, hey, I got some students that, you know, I've already vetted them. They're gonna take care of the place. I know them personally. And I just asked them, like, hey, do you guys want these units? So they joined the program for the knowledge of learning how to get credit and Airbnb. And then I also helped them make some money from it, too, which is pretty cool. Like, right. You know, like literally, here's how you make some money. Like, just take, like, I've already done, like, all the research. I've been doing it for 3 years. So, like, you know, it's going to make a profit, you know. So that's how I got out of it. And, yeah, now I'm just
Did you sell it to your students, basically?
Yeah. I basically just passed it down. Sold them a lot of the furniture I had too, so it was really cool. Yeah,
cool, man. Yeah,
it was very, very easy transition.
And then you were able to actually get into real estate. So I guess obviously, let's go into your real estate journey and things like that. I think you're definitely still in the beginning of your real estate journey.
Yeah,
I know
definitely.
That. But I guess the first thing you're using, because you're essentially your background is in credit. In credit utilization, credit funding, things of that nature. How are you using credit, or are you using credit to buy actual properties?
Yeah, absolutely. So
how are you doing that?
Yeah, I was kind of talking about it earlier. So like, I moved out from California to Indianapolis. I got a buddy out there who's been doing fix and flips out there for a while. Been watching him over the last year or two, just keeping an eye. And I told him like a year or two ago before I'd moved out there, I was like, hey, if like I move out there, like, would you teach me? Like, and he was just like, yeah, but I don't think you're really serious about it. So like a year later, I just like hit him up. I was like, it was very spontaneous. I was just like, hey, I bought my flight. I'm going to like leave my family, my friends, my girlfriend just to come move out here so you can teach me. And that's why I moved out to Indy.
Like, what? Like, really?
Like, yeah. He was just like, I was just like, yeah, can I still go there? He was just like, sure. And I was like, sick. So it worked out. And then I worked on with like, for him, like when I was just kind of first learning the game, he was working on a ton of fix and flips at a time. So I worked with him at least on like 7 fix and flips that he was working on and had other investors on. So I would just be out there just doing like manual labor. He'd be kind of teaching me like, hey, here's how you look at a deal, or, you know, like how do you think you design this? So like it was pretty hands-on, like really learning. And then after I saw him do it, I was just like, hey, the 8th fix and flip we did, that was the one that I actually like had money involved in it. And this deal was off market. Literally the next day or like within a week, they were going to put it back on the market for everybody. And what I did is I was like, okay, cool. Let me go get $75K at no interest business credit cards, liquidated the cards, use that to purchase the property, the rest of the capital.
How are you liquidating the cards again?
Yeah, so 2 ways. If you're doing much larger amounts, ideally you want to go through established liquidators, because like if you're going through your own payment processor and it's not a seasoned account where it's showing regular like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100K like transactions, a lot of those banks or payment processors like technically you're not allowed to do that.
No, you're
just
not.
Because the banks
your own payment processor,
or you could go through like a friend or something like that. Like what I would do is I have connections to liquidators who, you know, they have seasoned accounts. Like for example, like one of my buddies has like a construction company. Like it's a legitimate construction company, and they're regularly doing like 50, 100, 200, 300K transactions. So it looks normal, but he'll also help friends out where, hey, you need to liquidate 75K. I'll just, basically the process with liquidation is like let's say you're the liquidator and I have to liquidate 75K and you're the construction company. You would send me an invoice for 75K. I would pay that invoice. That credit goes to your bank account. So now it's cash, and then you would just wire me back the cash.
Right.
So that's how we would liquidate it. And like technically you're not supposed to do that, but it's like
no, you're not.
Yeah, but but that's only because the banks want you to pay like their 25% fee,
of course.
Which is BS. It's just like, well, I just thought of a unique way of like getting around it so you guys don't take 25%. So that's how we would do it. But long story short, I used that 75K to get into the deal. We funded the rest by going through a hard money lender.
Okay.
They paid for the renovations cost, and yeah, that was pretty straightforward. And obviously with like a fix and flip, you know, let's just say worst case scenario, it takes like 6 months or even 9 months, you know, put it in the deal, you'll get your full capital back within 6-9 months, worst case, and then just pay back the cards, and then boom, keep the profit, and then roll it over into the next deal.
Yeah, that's that same thing, man. That's infinite return.
Infinite return.
Yeah. So like you're making money from, it's basically like a job. I guess you're just using your time for your money.
Yeah.
So you're on your first project right now in Indian. Well, actually, let's go back really quick. How are you getting? You said off market, and I talked to a lot of my guests about this, and everybody has their own kind of strategy. Mm-hmm. When you say off market, what do you mean by that? How did you get it off market?
It wasn't being advertised on the MLS. You couldn't look up the address on Zillow or anything. So my partner, he just already had some wholesalers he was connected with.
Got it. Okay.
Because he's done a ton of deals, and that's how we were able to get it. And like the owner was just like, hey, I'm about to put it on the market in a week. And I was like, hey, give me like 2 days. Let me get this funding. And then we were able to close the deal. And kind of one of the big things that I've seen with whether it's like fix and flippers, people doing buy and holds, Airbnb or whatever, it's just like, that was like a steal of a deal. Like that property should have been at least 20 to 50K more than what we bought it for. And if I didn't have that funding ready on hand, then that would have just gone to somebody else.
Right. Okay.
And what a lot of people struggle with is just like, most Americans, they don't even have $5,000 saved to their name, but there's all these different opportunities to make a ton of cash, but they just don't have the savings for it. So it's just like, hey, if you're confident this is going to make us money, and we could leverage OPM as 0% other people's money, get a return, pay it back, keep the profit. Like you said, infinite returns. Just keep rolling that cash over. You
still do again. Need some money though. Like what some people don't factor in. There's still a lot of things when you're flipping a property, and just kind of want to number one, it's the mortgage payment or the hard money lender.
Yeah, the hard money lender. Yeah,
you got to pay him monthly or pay that payment monthly. Another thing is a lot of times your contractor still wants you to buy stuff, like for example, some supplies, right? Like you're going to buy them paint. I was just involved. I had to buy a water heater that wasn't really covered by because when we're doing hard money loan, I mean, I do these loans for our clients, and the guy's like, I need to put in a water heater tomorrow. So I literally have to buy it. He can go pick it up or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, all that stuff can go on a credit card because I'm buying from like Lowe's, Home Depot, some of these big stores. But you people have to have, you need some money.
Need some money.
You don't need it. Most, like I would say 90% of the cost. Or paint, for example. I just got this guy paint on one of the deals that we're working on. So you do still need some money, but it's almost infinite return.
But again, like if just get another 0% card.
Just keep going, baby.
Just keep going. Something I will say too for this, because growing up, like everyone's taught debt is bad, and it could be, and credit and OPM, like anything, it's a tool, right? With mortgages, that's debt. Student loans, that's debt. But people use it as a good thing. Also, people get screwed over if they can't make the payments. Same with credit cards. Something I would just warn people before they get into debt, it's not free cash, right? The whole idea is we're putting into an asset that's going to pay itself off within a year or a couple years because we could extend those terms. Don't go off buying freaking shoes or a purse unless you're going to sell it, and kind of why I feel so comfortable, because I've gotten over 300,000 in 0% just for myself. Right.
Wow, and that's impressive, man.
The reason why I feel confident with that is, one, we have the financial vehicle that's going to pay itself off. I have the backup plan, right? If it's not going to pay itself off within a year, I'll just refinance it onto another card or whatever, buy myself a little bit more time if the return takes a little bit more time. And also, too, just worst case scenario, if I need to pay it off, I could pay that off. For me, I invested in Bitcoin when it was $300 when I was 12 years old, and still let that appreciate. And that's kind of the cool thing too, is I've got crypto, I've got a whole life insurance policy, I got my Roth IRA. So something for people at home is if you are going to go into leveraging debt, be smart about it, have multiple backup plans on how you're going to pay it off, and don't quit your day job until you have something that's proven, but also keep stacking your cash into something worst case scenario. Okay, I'll liquidate some Bitcoin to pay this off. I'll liquidate, I'll take out a loan against my life insurance policy to pay this off. So there's a lot of things you could do. Just be smart about it, right? Again, you could crawl yourself into a pretty heavy hole if you don't have the right game plans. But that's something I help coach my students with. Hey, make sure, if we need to refinance onto a card, make sure, we'll be able to pay it off within 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Most people can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, another thing really quick, as an investor, I usually tell my guys to have a buy box. When you're buying, you want to buy certain types of properties. Are you guys looking for certain type of properties, or do you have a buy box where you kind of know what you're buying, what you're going to buy, and then what you're eventually going to sell for, just to kind of make it easy?
Yeah. I mean, that was my partner on that. So really, he would tell me what we're looking for is we were saying on the east side of Indianapolis, that's a little kind of the more ghetto area.
Shaky side.
Yeah. So and it's gonna take a little bit more time for it to gentrify. So we're not buying out there. It'll be cheap, but no one's gonna rent it or whatever. So really, we'd be focusing anywhere closer to Fishers, Indianapolis, city area, Fountain Square. So more so is the location. Obviously, the numbers got to work too.
Are you looking for a particular number? of return or anything?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'd say like realistically, like you want at least like 30K. Like if it's gonna be, because it's gonna take like at least a couple months, right?
Well, how much of a what's your buy price basically? Give me average buy price.
Well, for the one that I invested in, I put in 75K, and then we used a hard money lender because it was like 110.
That was your purchase price was 110.
Yeah. Originally they were trying to ask for like 130, but we talked them down to 110.
Okay.
And we used a hard money lender to fund the rest, and then also like.
What are you gonna sell for? Or what is your ARV?
So that was 110. We put about 100. Or yeah, I'll just round it up to like 100. So that's at like 210.
Yeah. And
my business partner sold literally the same size duplex down the street for like 320. And this one's got like better finishes, so we're expecting at least 320, if not higher.
That's not bad.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy. So
that's pretty good. Yeah.
So
320. Buy price of 110, you said?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good amount of
margin.
It
got pretty messed up because over there's a lot of like crackheads over there.
I know, I heard.
They're starting to get pushed out. So
yeah, what part of town is this?
This is can't remember. It's probably maybe like 8-10 minutes from downtown. Like starting to like get towards the east side, but still considered the west side.
The downtown.
Or yeah, like over towards over there.
Well, you mentioned something earlier that kind of just sparked my interest, man. You bought Bitcoin at 12?
Yeah, dude.
Well, who the hell?
Yeah.
How did you buy Bitcoin at 12 years old? And obviously, you're not putting. I assume you're not putting a lot of money into it. Your parents probably had no idea. But
yeah.
How the hell did you buy Bitcoin at 12 years old,
dude?
Or like who the
like how do you even know about?
How do you know about Bitcoin at 12?
Yeah. So all praise goes out to my oldest brother. He's like 30 now. Okay. So he had some years on me. It was his first year into college, and he comes back from winter break, and he's just like, you guys need to get this crypto. I was like, dude, what the hell is crypto? He's like, you need BTC, Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. Like, look at these returns. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but you're my kuya, you're my older brother, so I'm going to trust you. It was around Christmas time, had some money saved up, and then just money that I got from Christmas, and like my birthday's around Christmas time, and like it was New Year, so I got money too. So I was just like, all right, boom, throw it, put a bunch of cash. I
don't know if they even allow 12-year-olds anymore, but
yeah, probably not.
It's more regulated now.
But. Yeah, what did I have? I think it was Binance, or no, it was Coinbase.
Coinbase was still out?
Yeah, Coinbase was super young.
This is like this is like 15 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
So what year was this? This is 2000 and.
It's 2024.
2009 or something like that.
Yeah. So like when I bought the first one, it was like 300. Yeah.
2009, you were investing in Bitcoin?
Yeah. So I bought my first like chunk, and then after that, I was like, I'm gonna just let it do its thing. And you can't imagine like how many times like people were like, oh dude, it's at 10K, you should sell. And I was like, no, bro, like
you bought it $300?
$300.
Holy shit!
The most
like
I probably bought was like 600, maybe 900. Was the most I like paid for.
So you
it
became
at
a
that time.
Bitcoin millionaire. You moved to Miami. You bought yourself a Lambo.
Not a millionaire just yet. Definitely. It's funny
all
though.
the Bitcoin millionaires moved to Miami. That's
yeah, right. And then bought the Lambos, and then some of them are broke now because they just kept gambling it away.
Yeah, wow. Maybe not a millionaire, but yeah, hopefully you made some. I'm sure you made. What, like 20,000% return or some stupid number like that?
Because, like, what's it at right now? Like 65, 70K?
60 something? Yeah, I don't really look that much. I got a little bit of Bitcoin, but I'm not. I invested in like 2016, and I invested a pretty good amount of money. And that's when it was
like starting to hit like 20K or something.
And then it went crazy, and then it became. I got all scared and like pulled out.
Ah, damn.
And then basically I went back into it and like I don't remember, maybe like early COVID or something. Mm-hmm. I don't remember.
That was a good time because it crashed. So.
Yeah, so when it crashed, I have some money in it, but it's nothing really to like talk about basically. But,
yeah. For me, that's like I call it like my oh shit fund. So it's like if. Like, for example, all the debt that I've taken out, most of it's paid out. Some of it still has a 0%, so I'm not going to pay it out. But, like, for example, and this is why another key thing why the credit was so, like, appealing to me is, like, when I got into e-commerce, I was just like, all right, well, I'm going to sell, like, half a Bitcoin for the startup capital for this. a year later, that same Bitcoin like doubled the price, and I was like, dude, not only did I lose money on this failed business, but I lost like 20 G's in the like the appreciation, and that's when I was like, dude, like if I don't have to sell an asset to get into another asset and just use the 0%, like my older brother, he works as a pharmaceutical sales, and I helped him get his first duplex out here in LA, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy a house, and he was like, I'm just gonna sell some Ethereum and Bitcoin. I was like, well, first off, you're gonna get charged up the butt from like the capital gains.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
Before, people were obviously getting away with it.
But now they're cracking down on it. But number two, it's just like, well, in like a year or two, it's saying it's 70K, but it's gonna hit 100. So I was just like, look, like, save your Bitcoin, save it for a rainy day. Let me get you, 50. I got him 54K in like literally a week and a half. And I was like, boom, here's the down payment for your house. You got a little extra for like renovations. Like, got his duplex, and literally no cash out of pocket.
Nice,
like
man.
0%.
Nice.
Put the rest on like a FHA or like, what was it, like 3.5% conventional loan, whatever it was.
Yeah, FHA.
Yeah, exactly, FHA, and then he's gonna keep, because I told him too. He's just like, look, you're spending like $3K on rent for this apartment. That's like $36K that could have gone towards your down payment or like equity in your home. Like, just keep making those same payments on this house. The other part of the house, like the duplex part, rent that out to somebody else so they're at least offsetting your mortgage. And like literally within a year, you only put $50K as the down payment. Let's say, by the end of it, you have $70K total into the house. Take out like a HELOC or a cash out refi to pay back the cards.
Yeah.
Keep the profit, and if you want, get into the next deal and combine with 0%. So it's like, boom, just
one thing that the one thing that I thought about when we're talking about like like leveraging debt and things like that, and talking about Bitcoin. So some people might have big enough Bitcoins where essentially you can take a loan off the Bitcoin, similar to what you do with the stock market. You take
like a collateralized
margin loan.
Yeah.
In the stock market, it's called a margin loan, where I don't have to sell my stocks, but I'm taking, and I've done this a bunch of times, where I'm taking, but you do pay interest. It's not zero interest. And you're paying prime plus whatever this company, so whatever Fidelity or Robinhood or whatever E-Trade is charging you. Bitcoin is, I don't know if they allow it now, but soon, once Bitcoin becomes a little more legit, and it's right there. I know that I think Venezuela, no, who was it? El Salvador, I think is using it.
They're big.
So
big crypto
El Salvador, I think, is using it. So a bunch of more countries are going to kind of pick it up, and once they do, and once these kind of big bank, and then some big banks, I think, are getting a hold of it too, we'll be able to.
JP Morgan has been.
If I could take margin, dude, if I could take margin off of my Bitcoin, I mean, my Bitcoin's like whatever. I don't really care that much about it. So I'm down to margin it all day. Don't pay capital gains, and that's what actually I'm doing. That I'm doing that to buy real estate, but I need to get more into this credit funding stuff to buy kind of some more projects out in India and out in kind of the Midwest is where I want to continue to buy out there. As I would love to buy here in California, but
dude, it sucks, dude.
Yeah, you got.
That's why I moved out there. I was just like, dude, if I'm gonna do a flip, like if I do one out here and I screw up anything, like I'm financially fucked. It's so expensive out here.
Well, the thing is, I think I asked you before, but like, why did you actually? Because I've done it in a couple states now where like I haven't, I'm not going near there. So I probably do pay a little bit of a markup. And I have to technically like trust people.
Yeah.
But they're hoping to eventually get my business and get like my repeat business. And that's what I'm hoping for, that they treat me right, that they.
Yeah, they're looking at it as
why did you actually why didn't you want to do it like virtually, basically, remotely?
Well, for me, I just wanted to be like a lot more hands-on with it. Because I had gotten like Ryan Pineda's like fix and flip course. I had been checking out all these other big coaches online, and I was kind of, I wouldn't say analysis paralysis, but I was just more studying the game without actually like putting any skin in the game, right?
Okay.
And for me, it's just like, okay, I got this coach, but like this is going to be like the biggest purchase I've ever made in business. So I was just like, I need somebody like in person that I could trust, that's going to teach me how to do the actual game play. because I know I'm going to have questions that this course isn't going to answer, you know?
Probably, yeah.
So I just like, I need to be there in person. I think as, you know, as I get my current business going and finish this flip, I'm still planning on investing in real estate. But yes, I definitely want to do it more like virtually because like my game plan for this year is finish this flip, keep staying consistent with growing my coaching program, keep delivering results. But by like 2025, like right after New Year's, I plan on going travel South and Central America since like most of my income is going to be coming from the coaching business, keep helping people, and then reinvest that into some real estate deals. Not necessarily maybe in California, but just like other places
Anywhere
that are
in
going to
the
just be
other
easy,
places in the U.S.
long-term rental, like buy and holds where the numbers make sense. But yeah, like when I start making more capital from that, like that's what I want to do. Like I just want to keep traveling, keep making USD, go spend it in El Salvador, just some of these where the dollar goes a lot further, and just keep living life, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I guess last thing before I let you go, if you want to just touch up on your touch up on the coaching business, kind of.
Yeah.
What is it? What can I get out of it? And how's it going, basically?
Yeah, dude. So the coaching business is doing great, dude. When I first started, I spent months of just being filled with fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Like, oh crap, is this gonna work? Yeah. But I'm very glad I stuck through it. We got. Before even starting that program, I probably helped out and coached like 50 other real estate investors and business owners on the play before I even started my own thing. Mm-hmm. Now we're at, I think, 26 students. Right now, I've got a free Facebook group where I do live trainings every week. It's called Family Legacy Funding. It's a free Facebook group where I teach you guys all about credit, funding, and you can network with other real estate investors and learn different funding strategies. But yeah, the group is awesome. I love it because we're not just taking anybody who needs capital. Like I'm really wanting to focus on, I did real estate. That's where I see where the money's going to be. And it's not just any funding course. It's very niche down. And as far as it too, like kind of what I learned from taking other coaching programs and at least like my learning style is like, again, like I need that connection, that one-on-oneness. And I've seen a lot of coaches, what they do is they'll charge 2, 5, 7, 10K. And it's basically a DIY course where it's just, here's a bunch of modules, go watch it. If you have any questions, hop onto a group call where there's like 100 people and you don't really get your question answered.
So you don't do it like that?
No, not at all. So like the way I like to think of mine is, we have the course modules, yes. We have a Facebook group where you could connect, like a paid Facebook group. So we have the free one and then the paid one where it's with the people who've actually paid. We have group calls. Yes, we have all that, but where I think we differentiate is I actually spend one-on-one time with my students where I'm like, hey, here's the homework. Get this done. I'm gonna go through with you. Like, here's the exact gameplay. Like, here's where we're gonna go through. Like, watch this video in this course to remove inquiries, or watch this course to learn how to extend your 0% terms. And not everything's always gonna be 100%. Sometimes banks might change their requirements, so I'll help troubleshoot people versus leaving people kind of hanging like, oh, this didn't work.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess I'm just stuck here. So like I actually work with them one-on-one, and something I do is just like, hey, like my teaching style is just like, we'll work together one-on-one. I'll do the first couple applications for you. So, and you're going to watch me do it and we'll record it. That way, you know how to do it. And then the next one-on-one, when you need more funding, I'm going to watch you do it. So, yeah, it's very, I try to make it as, like, simple as possible, like, in terms of that. But I think the one-on-oneness is like...
That's different, yeah. You go one-on-one with your student to develop a plan. That's...
Yeah, because most coaches don't have time for that. And then, like, for me, it's just, like, I know it takes more time. And, like, for me, I'm about to work, Like, obviously, as this grows, like, I'll probably have to kind of, like, outsource a little bit more of that. But, like... For now, it's manageable, and I feel like that's what's really selling people on it, just because people want to feel like somebody has their back, And what I do with people is just like, look, I'm so confident this is going to work. Like, let's get you on, like, a lower weekly payment plan. We'll get you guys funded within, like, 30 days or something. Just pay me off in full once I show you this work. So it's just, like, just keeps building more and more trust.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, all right, well, this person's in my corner. He's not getting paid if I'm not getting paid. So I always, like, whenever I
That's
try to...
nice. That's nice of you.
Yeah, I always try to get in these deals
Yeah.
thinking like, you know, they probably saw an ad. They've only seen me a couple times. They're not just going to give me like $5,000 to, you know, right off the bat. But it's just like, okay, how do I make a no-brainer offer? How do I make this least risky? Like, comes with a guarantee. And, you know, I wish this is all the stuff that I had in the first courses I had. So I put myself in the shoes of the students, and, you know, it's been working out very well. My biggest thing I'm working on right now is really learning the marketing game, blowing up this free Facebook group as a lead funnel to where I can just keep delivering free value, and anyone still on the fence could at least see that, hey, the free stuff he's giving away,
pretty
like,
good.
Building up trust. Like, this guy's legit. Imagine what I would get if I actually paid him, you know, and that's kind of the whole thought process of it, and we're just going to keep growing it. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You think these students are all U.S. people, or you got any like foreigners?
I'm actually talking to a potential client. He lives in Puerto Rico, and it's funny because he speaks mostly Spanish, and I'm on day like 605 of Duolingo, so like, I'm like talking some Spanish using a little Google Translate, but like I understand what he's saying.
That's cool. Yeah.
And I just straight up told him, I was like, look, like I'm gonna tell you right now, like I speak English, but I can speak some Spanish. If you want, I'll do the funding for you at first, and I'll just give you access to the education modules. That way you could learn in your own time. Because, like, kind of for me, I really love the coaching model just because, again, it's very fulfilling. But, like, I also do, like, done-for-you credit where it's just like, hey, don't pay anything on the front end. Just pay me, like, a 10% commission on the back end once we get the results. And then I have, like, the done-for-you credit repair. But really, the coaching is kind of, like, my main thing just because I feel like that's, like I said, I love the idea of building a brand. Sometimes it gets, it's definitely a challenge.
Right.
And can sometimes be frustrating learning the whole marketing side of it. But, like, I feel like that's really what I'm meant to do, you know?
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you, man. Thanks for coming down, and everybody else out there, you know, thanks for tuning into the podcast, The Realer State of Mind. Another episode in the books.
Hell yeah.
Miguel de la Roca, you want to let them know where they can find you online?
Absolutely. So I'm very active on Instagram. It's Motive Miggle at MOTIV MIGGLE. And then on Facebook, I mentioned it earlier, Family Legacy Funding. If you look that up on the Facebook groups, you'll find me. We'll get you in. We'll take care of you and make sure you guys get as much free value when it comes to networking with real estate investors and learning the funding game and credit game. So appreciate you guys lending your eyes and ears, and thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it. Let's get it.
Peace.
Peace.